Hey y'all, how y'all doing? This video, I want to talk to you. I'm continuing the discussion of spec. I'm kind of as I have ideas that I had kind of lingering. I still want to stay focused on the discussion of spec, but this is a related item. Okay, so I know I talk about idols, the idols. Who are the idols? Okay, so I hope to caption it or put some words here. But until then, the idols are those people that are on spec when you're off spec. Let's say you have a height requirement. See, that one's easy to meet. It's easy to be on spec by height. All those other things, weight, finances, I haven't addressed those yet. So far, I have, but not officially. So this set of videos where I'm addressing spec, I want to clarify it, make it plain so that you understand what I'm trying to say. And hopefully I do a good job of it. Okay. So what's an idol? Like, who are the ones that are your problems, so to speak? They're the ones who kind of have a form of entitlement on the basis of whatever this is that makes people compare themselves to one another. Okay? When people look at you and say, you're not enough because you're not like me, and when they've automatically had that particular disdain for you because they have something that you apparently have not. Okay? So let's say your height spec, You're on spec automatically by height because you're going to be on your own height spec no matter what. That's a spec that everybody can meet because you exist of your own. But everybody else is specific so that you find yourself like, okay, this is just etched in stone something. These people, these are short and these are tall by comparison, and these are within height range. So that when you find that people are on spec when you're off spec, spec being specifications that you would want to satisfy in order to be in the company of another and understand that you are gregarious with one another. In other words, you have things in common and you'd rather be in groups or groupings or couples even with these people. Okay? So, pairings rather. So, what am I saying? These are people you want to hang out with because they're like you. Simple. But there are some who you would prefer to hang out with, but bad season, wrong timing. You maybe rubbed each other the wrong way because of it. You came into contact with each other either prematurely or after the fact, and you discovered, you know what? It's some stuff that you did to me. You offended me when we came into contact with each other. So I use exposure. In other words, if I see you in person, on video, um, if I see you and I was fat, that's another item that's coming. But that's one where I'm like, okay, I'm going to use some of my physicality to rule out some who would be disciples on the basis of the arrogance that comes with having when another person has not. Sometimes people are disrespectful and hateful to you because they have something. Not always, but I just observe the tendency, and I don't want to regard or treat everyone. It's so many people in the world and so much time. Now, God can make it work. But either way, the case by case basis, I love that when all other conditions have been satisfied. Then I'm like, all right, these are the people I want to be around. And I'm establishing those conditions so that I'm like, okay, I've weeded out several so that I can focus myself. Okay. So the idols, who are they? They are the people who met your spec when you were off spec. So that once all spec items are satisfied, okay, when you come into another spec, because your height spec, you're already there. So you're already on spec. So all those people, you and your height requirement, it's satisfied. All the people that are the right height are the right height. But now, everybody else, they're off spec. Now you have a off spec condition where these are not idols, but the off spec are the subordinates or the followers of the idols. Now, the secondary conditions, tertiary, quaternary, the ones that are in addition to the main spec item, height, those move people back and forward in terms of your companionship. So, let's say the next one, I just say hypothetically, if the next one would weight. And I'm like, all right, I'm heavy. And when I'm heavy, everybody that's not heavy is an idol to me. So that I can establish, even amongst they who are off spec, who are the idols amongst them. So that, let's say they're off in height, and the tallest among them, because they work in a contrary way, the tallest among them actually happens to be the followers, and the shortest people are the ones that rule the tall people. See, those off spec types, they have their strange group, they're contrary. So I have found that the simply contrary types work in this way. They're on spec when I'm off spec and are present. They make themselves known. They come into my space to be around. But when they're there, they're just there to get worship. All others who are off spec are like them. Okay? So they're on spec when you're off spec, and the off spec are like them. They're like little miniature versions of their on spec people. So let's say all of my spec items are satisfied, and some people are closer to my weight spec. Some of them are small, medium, and large right now. Those are the idols. If I were fat, if I'm outside of my weight spec, and there are people within my weight spec when I'm outside of it, then I'm like, all right, those are the idols amongst those who are within height spec. So that the ones that wouldn't typically and I find that, you know how people say she thinks she's all that. I hate that way. I hate that statement. But they're given to saying that about people. Generally, I've run across a lot of people that say that. So I found that over the years, it's a tendency. I have found that when people have something and you have not, and they come near you, if they are those who feel a particular way about themselves when they're near you, I have found recently that the ones that come near me when they're already established in that way, they tend to be highly condescending, and they tend to be so much so that the others automatically start to worship them all around you. I can't take that. So those are idols. And there are idols within the off-spec people, meaning the ones who are under 5'4" in my situation, and over 5'10" as women, and under 6 feet and over 6'3" as the men. And they are within weight spec. They're built, they're muscular, but I was fat at the time when I met them, so it was just bad timing. So repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. I know this is all over the place, but it's just to establish how I use off spec. If I'm off spec, then I rule out others who are on spec. And the others, I'm not, in other words, I'm not ready to find friends within weight spec yet. But in terms of height spec, that's satisfied. Got it? So repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Have a blessed and marvelous day. I hope to help you to understand who the idols are in your life. They're the ones that people look up to because they got it together. That's all. Blessings.